Pirates of the Caribbean's main theme turned 20 years old last year. Sorry to drop that bomb on you. And in 20 years, it is still perhaps one of the most recognizable and iconic film themes of all time. And its story is actually really fascinating. Who got fired? Who actually wrote the music? Who got the credit? It's a great story that gave us an incredible theme. Let's check it out. That right there. I mean, tell me that's not one of the most recognizable themes of all time. And it is absolutely epic. In fact, it's one of a few epic themes written for the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And it's actually kind of simple. That first section, I mean, so we're dealing with this triplet feel. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but everything inside of it is divided into eighth note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 1, no. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, say that 10 times fast. And while harmonically, this is actually a really simple chord progression. We simply have D minor to B flat major, A minor, resolve. Right? And then we kind of do a very similar move, but instead of starting on D minor again, we go straight to B flat. And now we give it a major resolution to F major before going to C, back up to D minor. So those two opening phrases, they kind of establish this D minor home base while also giving us a little taste of the relative major of F. But we're kind of just in this single space. Whether we're calling F major home or D minor home, it's the exact same notes. And those notes are right there. This would be the D natural minor scale or just the F major scale. So that's kind of this whole thing is functioning within that space. Right, and then from there we go to this, now the melody here is a G. So is this a B flat major? Well, we're kind of playing it as a B flat major, but the melody could make us think, well, is this actually G minor or is it actually B flat major? We'll call it B flat major because from there we go right to that G minor, back to our D minor. So far every section has resolved to D minor. How do we end it? Here we go. This is the first time that we hear the actual 5 chord of D minor. And we use that to resolve back to D minor again. So harmonically, this is really simple. Now, the thing that I think is really interesting about this melody is the rhythm, because the rhythm utilizes that triplet, that eighth note triplet division of our measure in a really clever way. Check this out. That's an important figure right there. Why am I clapping my hands like that? And how does that compare to our tempo, our actual beat, our measure, which is maybe we might say it's 4 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1, right? These two layer on top of each other in a really cool way. Now, let's look at a bar of just 4/4 with quarter notes. Very simple, 4 quarter notes in a single measure. Now we divide each of those into eighth note triplets, and we wind up with 12 eighth notes. Now, we can group those eighth note triplets as triplets in groups of 3, and we'll line right up with our quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. That's really hard to say. But if we don't group them in groups of 3 and instead group them differently like in groups of 2, we can completely change the feel of this measure. Let's put them in groups of 2, and we're gonna accent the first one. So it's gonna be like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, right? And when we count using those groupings, even against our 4/4 where we have the triplets divided up, 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 4 2 3, it sounds like this. 2 3 and 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 4 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 ba 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 1 da 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 ba. So it's a totally different way to divide those 12 eighth note triplets. We don't have to do it in groupings of 3. We can kind of do it in any grouping we want, and that's what this melody does. it utilizes those groupings of 2 to create a really syncopated rhythm. It's such a cool theme, and I think this is one of the reasons why it is so iconic. It's just this epic, like, the eighth note triplets really propel it forward, and then utilizing these divisions of 2, it just gives it such a cool sound. Now, there is a really interesting story behind this film and this soundtrack, and it actually starts with Alan Silvestri. Alan Silvestri, you may know, composer of Back to the Future.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
He wrote the Avengers theme. Some of my favorite works in film are the work of Alan Silvestri, and he was actually meant to be the composer for this film. In fact, there are original posters floating around out there, the early posters for the film, and they say on it, music by Alan Silvestri. Now, the details of this, we will probably never know. The story goes that before any music was actually composed or recorded, maybe it was composed and not yet recorded, we don't know. Jerry Bruckheimer had a conversation with Alan Silvestri and said, it's not gonna work out. So Alan Silvestri was actually fired from Pirates of the Caribbean, which is insane. I mean, imagine having Alan Silvestri in your film and then firing Alan Silvestri from your film. That just seems like an insane thing to do. But this is just where the story starts, because it actually gets even more interesting. The next call was to Hans Zimmer. Jerry Bruckheimer and director Gore Verbinski wanted Hans Zimmer to do the score for Pirates, but there was a problem. Hans Zimmer was currently working on The Last Samurai, and was contractually obligated to not work on any other film until The Last Samurai was released. And that is why, if you look at the first film in particular, you'll see a name that is not Hans Zimmer, and is instead a composer by the name of Klaus Badelt. Now, where does Klaus Badelt come into this whole thing? Well, by this time, Hans had developed his own music production company called, at the time, Media Ventures. Media Ventures worked on a number of different things, including films and video games, anything that needed a score, they were on it. It was run by Hans and a business partner, and they worked with a huge pool of composers and musicians, many of whom Hans mentored, and one of those individuals was Klaus Badelt. So not being able to officially do the work on the Pirates score, Hans recommended that Klaus do the scoring of the film, and thus, Klaus is the credit that we see as the music for the first Pirates film. But it's not quite that simple, because these incredible themes that were used to score the film were written by Hans Zimmer. He sat down at his piano and imagined the score, imagined these themes, and wrote out some important melodies and harmonies, and then I'm sure recorded some of that and sent it off to Klaus to then orchestrate it and create the rest of the score. So while Klaus Badelt is rightfully credited with the score for the film, many of these themes were actually composed by Hans Zimmer for the first film. And then, after he was out of his contractual obligations with The Last Samurai, he was able to come on for the sequels to the film, and he did, I think, 2, 3, and 4. And you know, when you think about, like, well, where did some of the ideas come from? How did some of these iconic themes just pop into his head? Well, we're reminded of another film that Hans Zimmer did, and that was all the way back in 2000 on a film you might know called Gladiator. Now, I did not know this until very recently. I saw a couple of comments floating around on YouTube videos pointing this out, and I was like, no way. And I went and listened to this, and you're not gonna believe this. Just listen to this section from the battle theme in Gladiator. Okay, now this is already really interesting because it's the exact same thematic layout that we've been talking about from Pirates. The way that these sections, there's like 4 of them, right? So we have the first one. That's the first part of that theme. Now we can hear a similar thing happening here. Kind of a similar opening statement, and then It's almost like an answer to that. There's a call and a response. Here we have pretty much the exact same thing. That's the call, and then we have almost a simplified version of the same thing. Same as Gladiator. The melodies is definitely different, but so far we have two sections that are like a call and a response. Now, there's our third section, which kind of asks the question. It's the first thing that sort of deviates from these hard resolving. Each one ends up at home base. We have a call and a response, and now we have sort of a question, right? And we do the same thing in the Pirates theme. Right? Now a fourth section, and we end it. There's our ending, right? But this is just where it starts, because listen to this next bit. Seriously? What? It's like, it's the same theme pretty much, right? I mean, the melody's different, the chord changes are different, but wow, is this clearly derivative, but it's derivative of his own work. I mean, it's the style, and it makes a lot of sense, and you would expect that to some degree. But in case you needed any more proof that, yeah, Hans Zimmer kind of was behind the composition of the major themes that made Pirates so iconic. And then Klaus Badelt took those themes and brilliantly worked them into what we now know as the score of the first Pirates film. So, oh man, okay, are you confused yet? Yeah. There's a whole messy story behind how this film's score came to be, how Hans ended up doing it, and, or rather, kind of like not doing it. But regardless, it gave us one of the absolutely most iconic film themes of all time. And especially when we think about Hans Zimmer's work on more current films like Interstellar, or especially Dune. We're getting much more of a soundscape, atmospheric type of sound, as opposed to these brilliant and epic themes that are perhaps much more like John Williams style. Over the years, Hans has clearly developed his own thing and has created almost an entirely new genre of film score that seems to be the direction that a lot of films are going these days. But I want to know from you, what is your favorite part of the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, and how does this stack up for you against Hans Zimmer's other work? What's some of his best work in your opinion? Where does this fall? Because there's so much to choose from, and even films that maybe you didn't even know that he worked on. But that's a topic for another video. In the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this one, and we will see you next time.